How do you even begin to think about dating and falling in love when you had only imagined your whole life with one person? All right, let's be real. I know some of y'all want to hear a bit of this mess. So, welcome again to Wandering the Wild Mess with Heather Morgan. I'm so glad you're here. If you've listened to a bit of the intro, you know that recently I moved from Utah to Tennessee after leaving the man I thought that I would be spending the rest of my life with. And I know people get divorced all the time. This isn't some rare occasion falling into the statistic of whatever half the people that get married. But I will tell you, I absolutely had no intention of me being a divorced woman when I said I do. But here I am. And as much as it was my decision, it's wild to me that now that I'm on the other side of it, I don't even know how to begin to think about falling in love and spending the rest of my life with someone else. And not because I wish I didn't leave, but more so because I just can't picture what that looks like. Dating is so different. Those of you that have known me and a little background, I met my ex-husband when I was 21 years old. And I remember not long after telling one of my friends, like, I'm going to marry that guy. And I did. But there was a lot of in-betweens of all of that, but I'll tell you that it was a completely different world then, and I was with him for so long that I never was on dating apps. I never really even used any social media to meet people. I wasn't, like, DMing anyone or sending likes or whatever it is now. That never happened for me. I just was with him and we didn't really deal with all that noise. So coming out on the other side of being with someone for so long and discovering this whole new world of dating, which, don't get me wrong, I feel like I adapt well to new things, but it's a lot. It's a lot to think that I should invest so much time to talking to complete strangers on dating apps. It literally feels like, am I just on this lone island thinking that this seems absolutely like the last thing I want to do? And everyone else is like, this is what we do now. We just do this. And it's been really hard for me to want to jump on that ship. So, since my separation and divorce, I've had some friends kind of push me into getting out of my comfort zone. And when I was still back in Salt Lake, I had went on a couple of dates with one person that I met organically in Salt Lake, but I knew I was moving. But I thought, back in the saddle, rip the Band-Aid off. Do I even know how to do this anymore? And it ended up not being so bad, but it felt weird. And I am pretty sure the whiskey helped me through it. And that's never a good sign. If you need the whiskey, maybe it shouldn't be. But there was a lot of that during my separation because I was an extreme mess and I did not know what to do with myself with this newfound identity of being a soon to be ex-wife. So, all that to say is that now that I've made my way to Tennessee and have been so lucky to meet new friends, because all of my friends back home, which I love dearly, are in relationships or married. most of them married. And so that dynamic and having relationships with married people, I've learned is completely different than having relationships with single people. And I don't know why it seems like such a contrast, but coming to Nashville and making friends with single women here, I realized that like the mindset of a single woman is so different than a married one. And I hope that doesn't ruffle any feathers, but it's just different. And so, as much as I love exploring this new aspect of friends and their perspectives and the things they're doing, I am having a hard time prioritizing dating and finding another husband the way that others seem to do so easily. I don't know if it's just that I'm not ready, and that's probably it. But I think once I've been in the trenches with someone and we were doing life together, I'm kinda like, "All right, I just need a breather. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to date. I don't know how to text." I think that's another weird thing that people don't understand is that even texting, I was with my ex together for 15 years. Like, before we were married, we were together and we lived together. So, you didn't even text a lot then. And then we were living together. So, there wasn't like these texts and, "Oh, he likes me. It's a good morning. It's a good night." It was just so different. I just didn't do that. And so now you meet someone and they want a good morning or good night or text all day throughout the day. And I don't know how to be that girl, because I never was. And I'm just struggling to navigate even texting back if I could even be remotely interested in someone. It's probably, I hope I'm not the only one that feels this way, but I'll tell you, when I was married, me and all of my married friends would joke, like, if we got divorced, we're just going to be single because we hear it's just a whole trash bin on the other side. And I'm not gonna say it's a trash bin because that's, like, super negative, but what I will say is we were right that it's rough, and I guess being single doesn't sound that bad, but I know that that's not what I want for the rest of my life. But prioritizing showing interest in dating someone, to me, feels so overwhelming, and it takes and occupies a lot of time, between texting someone all the time and getting ready for a date and making plans, all of those things. Like, think about it to my married friends when we were back home trying to even organize one night to go to dinner. Like, sometimes it's just a lot of work. And that to me is like a date. But then, at least with my friends, I knew it was going to be fun and I could talk to them and I liked being around them. Well, dating, it's like this stranger that you don't even really know that much, and you're just gonna spend the whole night talking about life with them because that's what single people do. They meet people that they might wanna date again, and they talk to them for whatever period of time, and then they may never see them again. Which is strange to me in the sense that Heather, myself, I can do that with a stranger that I meet sitting next to at a bar or in an airport or in an Uber. I can talk to the driver all night and I don't think about it. But the idea of like getting all ready and maybe having to have pressure of having romantic feelings for someone just like adds this whole other level of like, what am I doing? I don't even know how to do this. I don't know how to be this girl. I only know how to be a wife, and I hope I can continue to remember how to be one after I've been alone for a year and a half now. Those are random fears that come through my mind. So sometimes I just have to share them because this is just kind of part of the mess in the process. But I will tell you that there are fun and exciting things about dating. And I'm giving you these stories from, like I said, a person that has no real good experience dating, but has a very good perspective on hearing what others think about dating. I listen a lot and I've asked men a lot of questions and women a lot of questions, and I've came to the conclusion that no one really knows what they're doing now. But I think it's even scarier for me because so many people now are on dating apps, and it's such like an instant gratification of like someone to talk to. It's almost like you don't need to invest in a long-term partner because you just have a whole bunch of strangers that you could reach out to at any time if you get on the app. So I will tell you, before I moved to Tennessee, my friend that was single for a minute after her divorce, but was in a relationship, she had been on Hinge and she said, "Heather, get on Hinge. Just let's see what the guys look like in Tennessee." So I did for her. She set up my profile. I got on. And I didn't really, when I was in Salt Lake, I didn't really do much looking at it because it wasn't a habit for me. Right? Like I didn't think, "Oh, I better get on Hinge." Like I never did that, so it kind of fell off. But when I moved here, I still didn't pick it back up cuz again, it just isn't something I've naturally ever done. But then when I finally made a couple friends here, they were like, "Yeah, we date all the time on Hinge. You should, talk to people." And it was kind of like almost like this sounds so weird, but almost like a peer pressure, like, not really, but you're, like, not fitting in because you're not, like, talking about all your dates. So you're like, "I guess I gotta get on Hinge and, like, so I can talk about dates." So, anyways, even though I had went on a few organic dates, but nothing to talk about and hadn't prioritized it. So I got on Hinge. I It's weird, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I finally talked to somebody that was, seemed decent enough, and I made sure that I had talked to him on the phone before anything more because I'm such an energy person and such a viber that I was like, I can't just talk to someone like literally we've never talked on the phone and then we just go. It's like, no. So I it was a whole weird thing, but the conversation was great. So I thought, what the hey? So he asked me to go to lunch on a Sunday. And I had went out that weekend with the friend of mine, and I'm telling her a little bit about this guy, like, I am going on my first Hinge date. Here's a little bit about him. She's like, "Oh, is his name" we'll call him John. And I'm like, "Yes. Yes, it is." And she says, "Oh, well, I just went on a date with him on Thursday." This was Friday, mind you. She had went on a date with him the day before. This is Friday. I'm going out with him Sunday. I was immediately like, "What? I don't wanna go. I'm not going on a date with a guy that you just barely went out with. Like, what? Why would I do?" No. And it was pretty funny because she actually texted him and invited him to come out. We were out downtown and she was like, "Oh, wouldn't that be funny if like I invited him out and he came and you were there and he knows he's going on a date with you Sunday?" I was like, "It kind of would be weird. I mean, I don't know. Let's do it." But he never came. So I was like, "I'm not going to go on this date with him." But she was like, "No, I think you'd really like him. I think he'd like you. Like you should go." So I was like, "I guess for the plot, I'll still go." But this is weird to me. And I know to people that date on Hinge all the time, maybe this isn't weird. It's like all the people on Hinge, like you're gonna probably meet some people that other people that you know have dated. But to me, it's like, no, I don't. It just feels like this guy's just going on dates every night, which is fine. He doesn't owe me anything. It's not that. It just feels weird to me. So I'm just speaking my truth about this because it feels weird. So, anyways, I go on the date and, it's fine. Nothing to a good friend of mine said this and I'm gonna repeat it because I thought it was hilarious. But if someone asked me how the date was, I would have said, it's like putting on a jacket. And it's funny because it's just like, that's it. You just put on the jacket and move on. I didn't make that up. And there's nothing bad about him, but I thought that was hilarious. Please be laughing. So, anyways, go on the date. It was fine. He was really kind and nice and, but it wasn't a love connection. And at the end, he's like, "What are you doing after this?" And I was going to meet the girl that actually he went on a date with a couple days prior. And I had a picture of us. And I said, "Oh, I made friends," because he had moved here to Tennessee from Oregon. So he was also making new friends. So we were talking about that and I said, "I made this new friend. Here she is." And he went on a date with her on Thursday. I just wanted to see if he would say, "Oh, I know her. I met her. We went on a date." I mean, I don't know what I expected, but he definitely just pretended like he didn't know her. Even though I was clearly going to see her in a few short hours and like a girl isn't going to talk about a date. So, anyways, he never brought it up. I did talk to him again. But that was it. That was my one single hinge date that I ever went on. And after that, I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm good. So now I've went on a few dates just organically when I'm meeting people when I'm out, and I have some wild stories there. But I will tell you that I still have no idea what I'm doing, what to expect, what's supposed to happen. And I don't know if it's one of those things where it's kind of like you just want to keep up with, learning how to do it. So you're kind of practicing. So you should just keep dating, even though it's not a priority in your life. Or if I just say, I'm just not dating anyone and just worry about working on myself. I don't really know what the right answer is. But I do know that although I don't know what I'm looking for, I hope that I'll just know what it feels like. It's just so weird to think about doing marriage and all of those things all over again with someone new. I'll be completely honest, it's a very strange thought when I really think hard and long about it. And I'm sure that's with anyone who's been in a long term relationship where they thought they would end up with someone. You truly have to picture what it would look like to do it with someone else. And I think some people are better at just moving on than others. And I'm not hung up on my ex-husband by any means, and no disrespect to him. It's just, it wasn't for us. But I think I'm very reserved about putting my emotions into someone else because this time I want to get it right. And there's a lot of pressure to not mess it up this time. And I know I made so many mistakes. I was young. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I know I'm never going to know it all. So I'm telling you this like, well, where there's never a point in time where you know it all. But here I am thinking for a next relationship, I will. But I know that there are pieces of myself that I needed to look at and heal before I could even remotely think that I would be in a position to be the wife that I think that someone I'm wild about would deserve to have. So for now, I have lots and lots of stories of me being messy and not being a great dater, and a lot of stories of me meeting great men in the wild, but no stories of me knowing how to actually get feelings for anyone. No stories of that. That will be probably the biggest adventure when I ever know, oh my gosh, I want to see this person and I just want to keep hanging out with them till I don't want to hang out with them anymore. That's what I want it to feel like. I want to be around someone all the time. And not we're always together, not every second of the day, but I want to feel like I want them around all the time. I hope I can feel that again. I hope that's real, but it's scary. So we'll see how long I keep my walls up, but there have been so many times that I've temporarily fell into really having a great time with someone and thinking that it's something exciting, and then seeing them again and being like, "Wah, wah, wah." Like, and that's awful. That's awful. I cannot be the only person that was like that, and it's not them. It's just I learned quickly that we romanticize things so frequently in that initial state when we meet someone new and we think, "Oh my gosh, all these great things." And then you have the opportunity to interact again and there's been some period of time and then it just starts fading. It just feels different. And I don't know why other than maybe that's just a sign that that's just not it for you, but it's kind of sad. But then I guess it's kind of happy because at least the first time or the first couple times around, you were really happy and excited. And then, it just was what it was. And it ran its course, and that's all it was. Guys, I have to be honest. I might do some crazy dating stories eventually because I have a couple wild ones, but I don't know how much to share. I'm still learning all of this. But I will end this episode by saying, I do not know what I'm doing, and I'm 100% just here for it. So I hope you are too. So glad you were here. Just remember, you matter. Next time, we'll get into a little bit deeper into the mess that is my love life, if you can even pretend that I have one. Thank you so much for listening. Wandering the Wild Mess with Heather Morgan.